read this. Okay, so looking at Trump, so I've just now that I'm recording this, I'm just gonna again repeat what I said. So I'm against agricultural subsidies. So Trump gave agricultural subsidies. He provided this to mitigate subsidies to mitigate the negative impacts of the tariffs. Then he removed here a rule that made it easier for aggregate consumers to pursue class actions against banks. Um, so I don't agree with that. He got rid of a rule that protected consumers from predatory payday lenders, got rid of a proposed rule from the Obama administration that airlines disclose baggage fees. Um, then so then let's see, cracking down on violent crime, not regulating the police departments that fight it, overhauling programs that the Obama administration used to ease tensions between communities and the police. So I don't support any of that. Um, it would no longer investigate police departments and publicize their shortcomings in reports. I don't agree with that. Um, let's see. So, and despite Trump's pro-police rhetoric, his 2019 budget plan proposed nearly 50% cuts to the cops hiring program, which provides funding to state and local law enforcement agencies to help hire community policing officers. Um, and again, I don't agree with that either. Um, because I'm not actually in favor of defunding the police. Apparently, Trump appeared to advocate police brutality in a July 2017 speech. Um, so again, I don't. Everything's bad there so far. In December 2018, Trump signed the First Step Act, a bipartisan criminal justice reform bill which sought to rehabilitate prisoners and reduce recidivism, notably by expanding job training and early release programs and lowering mandatory minimum sentences for nonviolent drug offenders. Okay, so I do agree with that. That is a good thing. Good point on Trump. Trump's proposed 2020 budget underfunded the new law. The law was intended to receive $75 million annually for 5 years, but Trump's budget proposed only $14 million. Okay, so I don't like that. Beginning during his campaign and continuing into his presidency, Trump called for a sweeping investigation into alleged wrongdoing by Hillary Clinton. Okay, so then there's all that stuff. So okay. So during his presidency, Trump pardoned or commuted the sentences of 237 individuals. Most of those pardoned had personal or political connections to Trump. Yeah. A significant number had been convicted of fraud or public corruption. Um, yeah. So yeah. So he didn't actually pardon like just the average little person. He pardoned his friends. Um, let's see, drug policy. In a May 2017 departure from the Obama DOJ's policy to reduce long jail sentencing for minor drug offenses, and contrary to a growing bipartisan consensus, the administration ordered federal prosecutors to seek maximum sentencing for drug offenses. Don't agree with that. In a January 2018 move that created uncertainty regarding the legality of recreational and medical marijuana, blah blah. So Sessions rescinded a federal policy that had banned federal law enforcement officials from aggressively enforcing federal cannabis law in states where the drug is legal. Um, the administration's decisions contradicted then candidate Trump's statement that marijuana legalization should be up to the states. Okay, well, I'm not pro marijuana, so I can't really say much about that, but definitely not pro criminalizing it either. Capital punishment during Trump's term in 2020 and January 2021. The federal government executed 13 people in 2020 and January 2021, the first execution since 2002. In this time period, Trump oversaw more federal executions than any president in the preceding 120 years. Okay, I'm anti-death penalty, so I don't like that either. Disaster relief. So hurricanes, 15 billion for Harvey and Irma, 18.67 billion for all three. So also Maria. Um, so administration came under criticism for its delayed response to the humanitarian crisis in Puerto Rico. And so Trump didn't do that, and so it's true that kind of sucked. So another bad point here, but at least he did provide aid. California wildfires. So then he said it was the mismanagement of forests, saying there's no reason. Um, wait, wait. Yeah, I don't know what to talk about. Okay, but then see, this is where you see that Wikipedia might actually be propaganda because then they bring up the issue of climate change and say that's mostly climate change, and I'm not so convinced about that. So I would need to see this. I think Wikipedia is kind of biased, unfortunately, and so they're kind of making him seem bad. And this is kind of unfortunate. Um, there's lots of stuff. I know that foreign affairs in any case is going to be bad, so I'm not even going to bother with the foreign affairs, because I'm basically against geopolitics, and so in any case, I don't support that. Like obviously he's against the crimes against China like that, but he's not like he doesn't actually care about the crimes, right? It's just all about nationalistic posturing. Um, let's see, he condemned. Yeah, well, I don't really care about this. Like, um, his reaction to Charlottesville, I don't really care about that. Um, wait, here under the Trump administration, the Justice Department limited enforcement actions to protect voting rights, and in fact often defended restrictions on voting rights imposed by various states that have been challenged as voter suppression. Okay, well that is unfortunate. Um, again, yeah, Trump has repeatedly alleged without evidence there was widespread voter fraud. Um, and so the administration created a commission with a stated purpose to review the extent of voter fraud. Um, yeah, this is again, so there's that issue too. So just again, not proper behavior, just like really shitty behavior. Like Trump really, Trump really is an idiot. But we'll still have to see um, if there's like another perspective here. Um, Man, there's a lot of stuff I don't even know. Economy. Trump's economic policies are centered on cutting taxes, deregulation, and trade protectionism. Again, I don't agree with any of that. I would do the exact opposite. So, yeah. Indefinitely suspend a cut in fees for federally insured mortgages implemented by the Obama administration, which saved individuals with lower credit scores around $500 per year on a typical loan. Okay, so like, yeah, I don't really like that because this was helping like poorer people. Although in practice, yeah, I don't actually support this. I have a simpler system where I just give everybody UBI and not bother with that kind of extra assistance. Um, he halted trade negotiations with European Union, um, with the Transatlantic Trade Investment Partnership. Um, he repeatedly sought to intervene in the economy to affect specific companies and industries. Trump sought to compel power grid operators to buy coal and nuclear energy, and sought tariffs on metals to protect domestic metal producers. Trump also publicly attacked Boeing and Lockheed Martin, sending their stocks tumbling. Trump repeatedly singled out Amazon for criticism and advocated steps that would harm the company, such as ending an arrangement between Amazon and the USPS and raising taxes on Amazon. So again, he's not even pro-business; he's just pro his friends. It's crony capitalism. Trump expressed opposition to the merger between Time Warner and AT&T. Um, yeah, so like what he wants is he wants, in fact, to turn the United States into China, where the government just interferes in the economy. Like yeah, again, he pretends to like this is why it's ironic, is these Republicans, they claim to not like China and stuff, but actually that's exactly what they want to turn the United States into. Um, so analysis conducted by Bloomberg News at the end of Trump's second year in office found that his economy ranked sixth among the last 7 presidents based on 14 metrics. Yeah, I don't really think much about these metrics. We did see that like median income did grow. So, but anyway, in September 2017, Trump proposed the most sweeping federal tax overhaul in many years. Okay, signed it in 2017 after it passed Congress on party line votes. The tax bill is the first major legislation signed by Trump. The $1.5 billion trillion bill um, reduced the corporate federal tax rate from 35 to 21%, its lowest point since 1939. The bill also cut the individual tax rate, reducing the top rate from 39.6% to 37%, although these individual tax cuts expire after 2025. As a result, by 2027, every income group making less than 75,000 would see a next tax increase. Okay. The bill doubled the estate tax exemption to 22 million for married couples. Okay. And allowed the owners of pass-through businesses to deduct 20% of business income. Again, I don't like that. I don't like estate tax exemptions. Um, like that's not something I. This is inheritance tax. I think inheritance tax should be paid. Like, I just advocate for flat income tax, right? Which would include then the estate tax, like inheritance tax. Um, and allow the owners of pass-through businesses to deduct 20% of business income. The bill doubled the standard deduction while eliminating many itemized deductions, including the deduction for state and local taxes. Okay. The bill also repeated the individual health insurance mandate contained in the Affordable Care Act. According to the New York Times, the plan would result in a huge windfall for the very wealthy, but would not benefit those in the bottom third of the income distribution. The Nonpartisan Tax Policy Center estimated that the richest 0.1 and 1% would benefit the most in raw dollar amounts and percentage terms from the tax plan, earning 10.2% and 8.5% more income after taxes, respectively. Middle class households would, on average, earn 1.2% more after tax, but 13.5% of middle class households would see their tax burden increase. Yeah, again, Republicans pretend to be helping the average person, but no, like he's an elite billionaire. He's helping the elite billionaires. To think otherwise is nuts. It's like literally his whole thing is to help the billionaire elites. Um, a poorest fifth of Americans would earn 0.5% or more. But in fact, we did see that there was decent growth, in fact, for also poor households. So in practice, that's not necessarily actually true. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin argued that the corporate income tax would cut benefits workers the most, while the nonpartisan Joint Committee on Taxation, the Congressional Budget Office, and many economists estimated that owners of capital would benefit vastly more than workers. A preliminary estimate by the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget found that the tax plan would add more than $2 trillion over the next decade to the federal debt. And that's the other thing, because they don't actually cut spending. While the Tax Policy Center found that it would add $2.4 trillion to the debt. That's the thing. What they do is Republicans, they slash taxes, but they keep spending. And so then they get more debt. And they pretend to hate the debt, but it's not true. Trade. In March 2018, Trump imposed tariffs on solar panels and washing machines of 30 to 50%. Man, that is no. Man, I don't like tariffs. I hate tariffs. In March 2018, he imposed tariffs on steel and aluminum for most countries, like 25 and 10% respectively, which covered an estimated 4.1% of U.S. imports. Now, on June 1, 2018, this was extended to the European Union, Canada, and Mexico. In separate
Tariffs
moves,
are good.
no, they're not. Tariffs are terrible. Tariffs is
Make me a
anti-economical.
river.
Okay. You know that I'm just gonna I'm gonna remove you from my followers, right? Um and let's see. Let's see. Um is there Yeah, man, I don't know. Is there education? Trump appointed Betsy DeVos as the Secretary of Education. Um Democrats opposed DeVos as underqualified, while Republicans supported DeVos because of strong support of school choice. Yeah, I don't like that. That basically means that um basically that rich people get to send their um people to like better schools, like their kids to better schools. Um then I think it's that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Um let's see if there's anything else like mm, yeah, okay, there's nothing interesting here. Energy. Okay. The administration's America First energy plan did not mention renewable energy and instead focus on fossil fuels. The administration enacted 30% tariffs on imported solar panels. The American solar energy industry is highly reliant on foreign parts. 80% of parts are made abroad. As a result, the tariffs could raise the cost of solar energy, reduce innovation, reduce jobs in the industry, which in 2017 employed nearly 4 times as many American workers as coal industry. Again, he's like literally being an asshole. He's like literally intentionally just, they say, oh, look, the fossil fuels, they're better, right? Solar is so expensive, it doesn't work. But no, because you're making it expensive because you're actually subsidizing fossil fuels and you're like taxing the clean energy. Like literally, it's just all about like just doing things bad on purpose just because his political opponents are better and do better things. Um, yeah, look, literally, look, he rescinded a rule requiring oil, gas, and mining firms to disclose how much they paid foreign governments, and withdrew from the International Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, which required disclosure of payments by oil, gas, and mining companies to governments. Yeah, he ordered the reversal of a ban on oil stuff and in the Arctic Ocean and the North Atlantic, and so blah blah. So he's again pro. He's not just pro energy. He's like literally just pro oil, just for the sake of sticking it to people who are better than him. Like it's just all about literally being evil on purpose. And this is literally what Trump is about, right? It's like I don't understand how you can like Trump. This makes no sense. Um, like even the stuff that he did good, it wasn't because he cares about people, right? It's all about just being a shitty person and doing shitty stuff. Um, okay, so by October 2020, the administration had overturned 72 environmental regulations and was in the process of reversing an additional 27. A 2018 American Journal of Public Health study found that in Trump's first 6 months in office, the EPA adopted a pro business attitude unlike that of any previous administration, as it moved away from the public interest and explicitly favored the interests of the regulated industries. Again, like literally, it's all about just big corporations and making more money for billionaires. Okay, Trump administration brought fewer cases against polluters, sought a lower total of civilian penalties, and made fewer requests of companies to retrofit facilities to curb pollution than the Obama and Bush administrations. Okay. Confidential internal EPA documents show that the enforcement slowdown coincides with major policy changes ordered by Mr. Pruitt's team after pleas from oil and gas industry executives. Um, so literally, in 2018, the administration referred the lowest number of pollution cases for criminal prosecution in 30 years. Yeah. He unleashed a regulatory rollback lobbied for and cheered on by the industry with little parallel in the past half century. Yeah. Um, Here, there's an estimate from Harvard that the Trump administration's modifications to environmental rules can result in more than 80,000 additional U.S. deaths and widespread respiratory ailments. In August 2018, the administration's own analysis showed that loosening coal plant rules could cause up to 1,400 premature deaths and 15,000 new cases of respiratory problems. From 2016 to 2018, air pollution increased by 5.5%, reversing a 7-year trend where air pollution had declined by 25%. All references to climate change were removed from the White House website, with the sole exception of mentioning Trump's intention to eliminate the Obama administration's climate change policies. Again, completely ridiculous. The APA removed climate change material on its website, including detailed climate data. In June 2017, Trump announced U.S. withdrawal from the Paris Agreement, a 2015 climate change accord reached by 200 nations to cut greenhouse gas emissions. He called climate change a hoax, falsely implying that cold weather meant climate change was not occurring. Like literally, he's a dipshit. Okay, he's like a terrible, terrible dipshit. Um, Trump is terrible. Like literally, Trump is fucking. Trump is a fucking devil, and people who support Trump are as well. Um, like literally everything that Trump has done is just not maybe not everything, but so many things. Um, Let's see, rolled back major Clean Water Act protections, narrowing the definition of the waters in the United States under federal
I
protection.
love Trump.
Studies by the Obama-era EPA suggest that up to two-thirds of California's inland freshwater streams will lose protection under the rule change. Wow, you love Trump, like literally, you're nuts. Have you seen all the terrible stuff he's done? Have you seen all the horrible, like literally everything he's done is like terrible. He sought to repeal regulation which required oil and gas companies to restrict emissions of methane, a potent greenhouse gas. Um, Look at this shit. The EPA granted a loophole allowing a small set of trucking companies to skirt emissions rules and produce trucks that emit 40 to 55 times the air pollutants of other new trucks. The EPA rejected the ban on the toxic pesticide chlorpyrifos. So yeah, and a federal court then ordered the EPA to ban chlorpyrifos because the EPA's own extensive research shows it caused adverse health effects in children. The administration scaled back the ban on the use of the solvent methylene chloride and lifted a rule requiring major farms to report pollution emitted through animal waste. Like literally, he's killing people with pollution.
You're reading a wiki article written by a blue-haired SJW
Except that,
feminazi.
except that we know that he actually did that. We know he did that. The administration suspended funding on several environmental research studies, a multi-million-dollar program that distributed grants for research that for wait the effects of chemical exposure on children. Okay, like, but we know he did this. We know he did, like, for the environment. We know he did this shit. Okay, like the EPA expedited the process for approving new chemicals and made the process of evaluating
Do
the
you
safety of those
think
chemicals less
Trump
stringent.
said all Mexicans are rapists?
I don't know. He didn't say that, but he sort of the way he worded it kind of seemed like that. I don't like. Um, the point is that he intentionally fueled racism. He based his anti-immigration rhetoric on racism. And like he is a racist.
Do you
He
think Trump allowed hookers to piss on him in a hotel room in Russia?
Yes. The administration weakened enforcement, the Endangered Species Act. Okay, it's true that this is sort of a bit poorly written, but anyway, make it easier to start mining, drilling, and construction projects in areas with endangered and threatened
Do
species.
you have proof?
Absolute proof, maybe not, but like, who cares? I don't care about that anyway. To me, like comments, I don't care about comments. I care about policies, and his policy,
How is Trump anti-immigrant?
like building a fucking wall, like, is that not enough? Um, like, uh, anyway, according so he's not pro-business. Pro-business would literally be not having tariffs. Tariffs are anti-business. Tariffs are anti-business. Um,
Oh,
they
he's anti-illegal immigrant.
Yeah, he's anti-illegal immigrant. I don't like the having like I don't like the idea of having a wall. I just like they're illegal, but to me, countries are illegal. Like from my perspective, the existence of borders shouldn't
Are
be
you
borders.
pro-illegal immigrant?
I'm pro eliminating borders so that everybody's just free to live wherever they fuck they want, because that is a major aspect of freedom, is like being able to choose where you want to live. Uh,
Proof.
yeah, I'm not pro illegal immigration. I'm pro just people being able to live wherever they want. But I'm pro first equalizing economic levels between countries. So you wouldn't, because otherwise you'd have immense immigration. I'm not pro mass immigration.
You are really the borders are imaginary lines guy.
Yeah, absolutely. But first you have to equalize economic levels between places, because otherwise you're going to get mass immigration, and I don't want that. It's true. I don't want mass net migration. Um, so first you make poor countries richer through a basic income, and then you also make them, like, you get rid of all these really conservative values that some countries have, and then you can open the borders. Um, that's why it'll be much better for everyone. Like, um, literally. I mean, see, you got to go to Thailand because like you're like, you're from America, so anyone, as an American, you go anywhere. An average Thai person cannot do the opposite and go to the United States. See, so you're like benefiting from a high salary living in a poor country. You're like literally cheating the system in an unfair manner. I don't
And
support that.
why
I
is
think,
that?
why is that? Because like literally of nationalistic policies that are inherently unfair. It's like literally that the United States is more powerful and is able to just bully
Why can't
people,
Thai people freely go to USA?
because literally the USA won't let them, because literally the USA doesn't want huge amounts of immigration. But it's inherently unfair. Like, people who are born in the USA are like basically privileged. They are able to earn much more money without having to work for it, just just based on the sheer luck of being born in the United States compared to a poor country. That is inherently unfair. That inherently violates the concept of freedom, of equality of opportunity. Um, if you don't allow anyone to apply for a job in the United States, then you're literally not allowing equality of opportunity. Um, I support freedom. I support equality of opportunity. Um, Having borders fundamentally violates those principles. Um,
It's because people from poor countries are likely to never leave the US once they enter.
Yeah, but people also,
Thailand knows Americans will follow the laws, that's why they allow them in.
yeah, but Thai people also will follow the laws. The point is that it's still inherently unfair. It's unfair to Thai people. It's unfair to, like, literally, it's totally unfair. And that's like a fun to me. Fairness is a fundamental ethical principle. So you're basically being unethical, and that's, I mean, not you as an individual going to Thailand. I mean, the system is fundamentally unethical, and it's evil. I mean, unethical means evil.
No, poor people will not
The
follow the
administration,
laws.
they do. What on earth are you saying? They
They
do.
will stay in the country and become illegal
Oh, you
immigrants.
mean the immigration laws. But the point is that precisely the United States doesn't let people go in. It doesn't let people stay. Thailand lets you stay often. I'm not sure exactly what the rules, but I know lots of people, like, I know that Thailand does definitely let Europeans, like, move to Thailand pretty easily. So again, that's not fair. You have freedom of movement, but most people from poor countries do not. Um, let's see. The administration banned bump stocks after such devices were used by the gunman who perpetrated the 2017 Las Vegas shooting. Okay, well, that at least they did that. Let's see. Trump called on states to implement red flag laws to remove guns from those judged to pose a grave risk to public safety, but then he abandoned the idea. Um, okay, I don't know. He did much. He ended the U.S. involvement in the UN Arms Trade Treaty to curb the international trade of conventional arms with countries having poor human rights records. Okay, again, another stupid policy. Um, let's see. ACA listed in major opposition for the Republican Party from its inception. Okay, I just prefer state-paid insurance, but I'm sure that would even generate much more opposition from the Republicans. Um, so on taking office, Trump promised to pass a healthcare bill that would cover everyone, result in
I
better and less
don't know
expensive
why
insurance.
this is difficult for you to understand. I
What?
won't break the law and I inject my income into the Thai community.
Yeah, but the point is that's not.
I only benefit Thailand.
Yeah, you do, but
I
it's not.
am not a drain on their system.
Yeah, but, like, the point, yeah, I know you aren't, but the point is that it's unfair from the perspective of a Thai person who doesn't have the same freedom, who doesn't have the same opportunities, and this is why, like, literally, it's inherently unfair to not let people move wherever they want. It's not fair. You got this from the privilege of being born in the United States, and I have it too, right? I have that same privilege, but it's not. It's fundamentally unfair to people who don't have that privilege. Um, so he basically he wanted to get rid of Obamacare. He wanted to basically get rid of, like, proper, healthcare, funding and stuff. I'm pro more healthcare. I don't even like the ACA because it still is not. It's a very imperfect system. I think everybody should be covered in an NHS style system, and just have people pay a little bit so that to avoid having, the issue of like hypochondriacs just going to the doctor all the time. Um, but yeah. Let's see, the administration ended subsidy payments to health insurance companies in a move expected to raise premiums in 2018 for middle-class families by an average of about
Shouldn't
20%
people
nationwide,
that
and
obey
cost the federal
laws
government
have
nearly
privileges over
2,000.
people that don't obey laws?
Again, you're just saying basically that people who are born in poor countries inherently don't obey laws, which again that is absurd. Again, you're not understanding that it's unfair. Like, you're you're that makes no sense. Um, the administration proposed substantial spending cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security disability insurance. Trump had previously vowed to protect Medicare and Medicaid. The administration reduced enforcement of penalties against nursing homes that harm residents. Like, as a candidate and throughout his presidency, Trump said he would cut the cost of pharmaceuticals. During his first 7 months in office, there were 96 price hikes for every drug price cut. Abandoning a promise he made as a candidate, Trump announced he would not allow Medicare to use his bargaining power to negotiate lower drug prices. Again, just so much terrible stuff. Trump is an absolute, he's a monster. He's like literally the worst president. I honestly think he's the worst president. Trump reinstated the Mexico City policy prohibiting funding to foreign non-governmental organizations that perform abortions as a method of family planning in other countries. Um, okay, the administration implemented a policy restricting taxpayer dollars given. Okay, so he does this again. So yeah. Okay, but I agree with a ban on late-term abortions, except when it's to save the mother. So I kind of agree just on that specifically. Um, so here, the administration geared HHS funding towards abstinence education programs for teens rather than comprehensive sexual education programs the Obama administration funded. More bad stuff. Opioid epidemic. So,
Again, you're reading a lefty's view of Trump right now.
but he did.
You think Trump hired hookers to piss on him
I
with
don't
no
I
evidence.
don't care about that. I don't care. If he did that, that wouldn't affect my opinion of him. I'm perfectly fine about that. Like literally, I don't give a shit. That makes I care about the policies. His policies were terrible. His policies were all terrible. It was all
I
to
know
just
you
hurt.
don't care,
Yeah, this
but
is the,
you believe it.
I mostly believe it. I don't even believe it 100%.
You
I don't.
already stated you believe it.
I believe it more than I don't, but I don't really. Maybe I'm wrong. It doesn't matter. This is stuff we know about, and we know all this stuff, and we know that this was terrible. And then okay, so then there's the COVID-19 thing, and he also again, he sort of mismanaged this thing, pretending it was, that pretending that COVID wasn't a real thing, that it was a hoax. You remember Trump consistently downplayed the threat posed by coronavirus to the United States, giving many optimistic public statements. Um, then he adopted.
So I believe Hillary Clinton murders children and eats them.
Yeah, but
We are the same.
nobody like says that seriously. Like Jesus, what? Like, and like the point is that being peed on by hookers is not a bad thing, you know? Like literally. And like nobody is claiming that Hillary, like no sensible person is claiming that Hillary
I
is doing
have the
anything like that.
same amount of evidence as you.
But I don't even care about the thing. I don't even care about the fucking that thing. Like it doesn't matter. Who cares? It doesn't matter. It's not even a bad thing. To me that thing was silly. All these scandal things, I don't care. I don't care. That is not why focus on that. The point is his policies are terrible. That is what matters. And they are terrible. Like all the stuff that he's done. Um I mean, we saw this, right? Like, okay, and oh yeah, May 2010, Trump announced the U.S. would withdraw from the WHO. Um, let's see. And then yeah, there's a surge in June 2020, and he falsely claimed that was due to increased testing. And again, he failed to, and the U.S. became, because he failed to have a proper lockdown early on. They're just an immediate surge in cases and a bunch of people that died as a result of this.
Would you
Um,
ever take a flat earther seriously about any other topic?
no, I wouldn't. This what do you think this is like the equivalent of being a flat earther, believing that it's probable that Trump did this? I'm not saying it is. Like, who cares? Like, Jesus. Um, let's see.
Exactly.
No, because
So you are a flat earther right now.
flat earthism. No,
So
how on
all
earth?
of your other opinions are bunk.
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, Jesus, Jesus, are you really that much of an idiot? Are you that much of an idiot? Like, come on, please tell me you're not that much of an idiot. Um, Please. Like, didn't you read all the fucking horrible policies that Trump did? Like, have you seen all the shit that's done? Have you seen the policies of Biden? Like, if you maybe stop watching Fox News and stop sort of, conflating these sort of weird lefty protests and stuff with the actual policies of the Democratic Party, you'd see that the
I don't
Republicans.
watch Fox News.
Okay, well, whatever. But obviously, you are failing to understand that Trump has like literally implemented a ton of terrible policies, that Biden has implemented lots of good policies, and that literally the Republicans just focus on the weirdness of these sort of lefty activists to basically make people vote for them and to make them completely ignore the fact that the Republican policies are benefiting billionaires at the expense of everyone else. This is that is what the Republican Party is about. The Republican Party is to help billionaires and use racism to make not like nationalism, anti-immigrant rhetoric to make it seem like they're
You
going to
don't
help the
know
people of their
what's
own
in
country.
those policies. You're just taking the words of Wikipedia.
Yeah, okay, well then we'll have a closer look. Okay. We know then that they're like, more arrests of undocumented immigrants. We know that then there's the kids that were separated from their families. We know that this stuff was done like that. He created all this money for this wall. Um, you know, then like he wanted to make Mexico pay for the wall. Um,
Should illegal immigrants not be arrested?
No, they shouldn't. I don't believe in the concept of illegal immigrants. I've already told you. The problem is that we've got wealth disparities between regions that should be addressed
LOL.
through a global basic income. That is what's needed to be. Everything else is just total unfairness, it's total shittiness, and utter evil selfishness. Like it's terrible. Trump is terrible, and this is coming from someone who like clearly decries things like the BLM protests, who doesn't like affirmative action, who thinks that this idea of systemic racism at this point is mostly wrong. Um, but but nonetheless, so the Republicans are right about that, and that's the only thing they get right, and that's how they get traction is by being right against these sort of lefty movements, and then people sort of ignore the fact that uh,
So you're angry
policies.
that Trump is enforcing laws that were already on the books before he took office.
Uh,
Stunning and brave.
well, I mean, I don't like Biden either for enforcing the such laws, right? Like in as much as Biden still doesn't have advocate for basic income, maximum income, open borders and stuff. Yeah, I don't. I mean, this is why I'm not like he's done some good stuff in comparison. He's better, but like it's not like it was all that incredible. Let's see. He rolled back LGBT protections, so covering issues such as healthcare, education, employment, housing, military, and criminal justice, as well as foster care and adoption. The administration rescinded rules prohibiting taxpayer-funded adoption and foster care agencies from discriminating against LGBT adoption foster parents. Okay. The DOJ reversed its position on whether the Civil Rights Act's workplace protections covered LGBT individuals, and the DOJ argued in state and federal courts for a constitutional right for businesses to discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. Okay, the administration exempted government contractors from following federal workplace discrimination rules as long as they could cite religious reasons for doing so. Again, more terrible stuff. So the administration rescinded a directive that public schools treat students according to their gender identity. Um, then there's a bathroom thing. There, at least, there's a certain, you can sort of understand the thing there. Um, the administration rescinded rules that prohibited discrimination against LGBT patients by healthcare providers. Rules were rescinded to give transgender homeless people equal access to homeless shelters and to house transgender prison inmates according to their gender identity when appropriate. HHS stopped collecting information on LGBT participants in its national survey of older adults, and the Census Bureau removed sexual orientation and gender identity as proposed subjects for possible inclusion on the decennial census and our American Community Survey. Okay. Canceled quarterly conference calls with LGBT organizations with the DOJ Labor Department. Trump said he would not allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military, citing disruptions and medical costs. In March 2019, he signed a presidential memorandum to prohibit transgender persons, whether transition or not, with a history of diagnosis of gender dysphoria from military service, except for individuals who have had 36 consecutive months of stability in their biological sex before accession and currently serving transgender persons in military service. Okay. Studies have found that allowing transgender individuals to serve in the military has little or no impact on unit cohesion, operational effectiveness, or readiness, and the medical costs associated with transgender service members would be minimal. The Treasury Department imposed sanctions on Chechen President Kamzan Kadyrov and a Chechen law enforcement official, citing anti-gay
Studies have found.
purges in Chechnya. Okay. So at least they did that. And in February 2019, the administration launched a global campaign to end the criminalization of homosexuality, an initiative pushed by Richard Grenell, the U.S. ambassador to Germany. Asked about the administration's campaign, the Trump appeared to be unaware of it. Okay, so he didn't actually know that. So even the good thing that they did, he wasn't aware of it and he wasn't responsible. It's like the one good thing, he didn't even do. So then George Floyd protests. Again, I'm not even gonna I'm not even gonna talk about that because like there has been like violence and stuff in these
Trump
protests.
appeared to be unaware.
So like uh,
Jesus man, you are eating this up.
okay, well let's actually look. I'll look then at the sources. Um, let's see, is there what else is there? Okay, let's science. The administration marginalized the role of science in policymaking, halted numerous research projects, and saw the departure of scientists who said their work was marginalized or suppressed. So yeah, so there's a period without a science advisor. Um, okay, so they add, and yeah, they basically he nominated all these people that were like he did nominate a person that denied climate change. He got this prohibited the use. The Department of Energy prohibited the use of the term climate change. Um, yeah, this is terrible. Again, like look at this, and we know he did this. Okay, we know he did this. Look, here's a link. Okay, now that I've gone through all this fucking thing. Okay, this is Politico here. No, I wanted to open a new tab. Anyway, Energy Department Climate Office
The
bans use of
sources are
phrase climate
just
change.
going to link to some lefty CNN article written by an SJW.
Again, if you're writing SJW, you're probably also like not all people who think straight are SJWs, okay? Like a supervisor at the Energy Department's International Climate Office told staff this week not to use the phrase climate change, emission reduction, or Paris Agreement. Politico is a pretty neutral thing, right? Politico is not like particularly leftist. It's just not Fox News propaganda type thing. But
LOL.
yeah, no, it is. Like literally, you don't understand. Republicans are completely crazy, okay? So like literally, if it would to a Republican, just thinking straight seems leftist. In Reddit memos, briefings, or other written communication sources have told Politico. Not always. Like sometimes there's weird, like there's pro
Oi
sort
mate.
of establishment. There's pro establishment stuff. For instance, in like when it came to COVID and stuff, there's been that kind of thing. You see, um, let's see. But like literally, if you're not going to believe even what they say here, like it doesn't make sense. Like even everybody sort of agrees with this that they like yeah, it doesn't talk about climate. Um, look, so this political article says it, and where does this come from? So okay, so it's a
Gee, I
Politico.
wonder why someone wouldn't believe the media.
Yeah, but then you believe that much more wacko alt-right media. That makes no sense. So like Trump administration eliminating reference to climate change. Fox. Well, have a look at Fox, okay? Um, so I'm not finding Fox, okay? Because yeah, we're getting. But look, do you really think that the media is like literally saying stuff wrong? Like you really don't think he did that? Okay, you don't think he put tariffs on like solar panels? You don't think he
LOL,
subsidized?
yes.
What, you don't think he put tariffs on solar panels? You don't think he subsidized? Like, how do you even know what Trump did then at that point? Um, like, how do you even like where are you getting your information from then? Like, how on earth are you gonna like literally? You're basically imagining that Trump is doing something completely different than what he's
Simple
claimed.
logic.
Oh, right. So simple logic. So basically, you know what Trump
Common
does.
sense.
So you know what Trump does based on not reading anything, but just watching him and like I don't know, looking at his tweets or something, and then you just use logic to determine that he
Yes.
actually okay. So you are an idiot. Okay, so like you've basically proven it. You've admitted it. Thank you. Um, okay, I'm sorry to hear it. I sort of wanted to think that you were a reasonable person, but apparently not. Apparently you really are
I know that Trump is not building concentration camps at the Mexican border.
like literally this whole camp thing was Trump's idea first. He built the walls. He was the one who like put kids in cages. Like literally. Okay, so you are completely biased. You are completely biased. You are a right-wing lunatic. Again, like you're just as crazy. No, you're even more crazy than these BLM people. Like this is what you are. This is what you right wingers don't understand is that just because you don't believe in their
I know
complete
that the Earth isn't
psychosis,
going to end in 12 years.
yeah, but who said that? Like nobody who has said that. Um, you've got to understand. You've got to understand that from the sort of right wing lunatic's perspective, anybody who just is sound of mind is a commie. Okay, that you please understand this and please realize that, like, oh no, like where look, do you have some good sources where I can read about Trump? Like, do you have some like what can I
Eoc
write?
said it.
Okay, but she's wrong about that. Okay, that is stupid. That is stupid, and I agree with that. That's idiotic. This is what I'm saying. That is the lefty craziness. I've been very clear about that lefty craziness. I do not support that lefty craziness. Like they see that little patch of fire in the ocean due to an oil leak, and they say that like it's global warming. That is craziness. Okay,
Wait.
that is
How
craziness.
do you know she's wrong?
Like I can't know for
Are you using common sense?
the point. Yes, you thinking rationally, and you are not, because you like literally. Where are you getting your information from? This is like the it's not. It's a false equivalency. Okay, like yeah, I am using common sense. I am also using
Oh boy,
sense.
got him.
No, you haven't got me. I'm also using common sense to determine that it's most likely that Trump did the things. It's very easy. The media can make all sorts of projections, and the projections could be wrong, right? But when they say that something actually happened, then I'm not gonna, pretend that they like literally the media is just doing nothing but lies. They can have like weird interpretations, but the actual facts, the media is still accountable for the actual facts. Um, and actual facts, like all the stuff that the Trump administration did, um, like like even I'm sure again, where's Fox News? Why can't I find Fox on Trump? I'd like to know that. Why? Um, where can I find this? Where can I find facts about Trump? Where can I find facts about Trump? Um, what do we even want to know? There's so much terrible stuff at this point. I don't even know where to go. I literally am like kind of stuck here. If you have any sources where you like how would you know about what Trump has done? See, the point is we can know based on the way the world works that the world isn't going to end in 12 years. But like how do we know that Trump didn't do that if everybody's telling us that he did do that? Okay? Like okay, so here we've got all these links here. Um,
Simple, I just read his tweets.
okay, but his tweets are not going to be an adequate representation of what he actually did.
100% true and honest.
Okay, so again, that is ridiculous. Um, okay, under Trump, LGBTQ progress is being reversed in plain sight. Donald Trump promised he would fight for LGBTQ people. Instead, his administration has systematically undone recent gains in the rights and protections. Here are 31 examples. Okay, when he campaigned for president, Donald Trump posed with a rainbow flag and became the first European nominee to mention LGBTQ citizens in his convention speech. In his first month of office, okay, so he said he would be for them. But then, okay, so basically they're saying all the stuff that we already saw. That ProPublica reviewed actions taken by the Trump administration that could directly affect LGBTQ citizens. Okay, okay, so first, transgender ban here. Um, so this is the first thing here. To formers, sent a memo that reversed the Justice Department's position on whether the Civil Rights Act protects transgender people from workplace discrimination. Okay, so he got rid of that. So here, Department of Justice, according to Sessions' memo, submitted a number of briefs in state and federal courts around the country, arguing that employers could legally discriminate based on sexual orientation and gender identity. The Office of Personnel Management removed guidance written for federal agency managers on how to support transgender federal employees. Okay. Okay, so the DOJ sent two memos to all executive branch departments that interpret religious liberty protections in ways that give broad exemptions for federal anti-discrimination laws to agencies and contractors. Okay, so basically there's all this. So there's all this shit here. The Trump administration's Department of Education has drastically
Hashtag
scaled back civil rights
justice for
enforcement
Jussie
for
Smollett.
LGBTQ students. Um, The report found that complaints students filed alleging sexual orientation and gender identity-based discrimination were 9 times less likely to result in corrective action under the Trump administration than under the Obama administration. It also showed that the current administration was more likely to dismiss these types of complaints without a formal investigation. Okay, so you've got all of this, and then you've got this report, which is itself the Center for American Progress. Um, so there's all this terrible shit. So okay, so there's this report here. Um, yeah. So then here, discrimination, blah blah. So anyway, okay. So here we see complaints. Okay, but no. So there were still complaints, but they weren't taken seriously. Um, majority was dismissed. Here, 61% were dismissed. Um,
Sources that know how Donald Trump thinks say.
okay, so there's all this. There's all this. Um, yeah, so there's just a bunch of terrible stuff here. Um, so I don't know. Like literally, you're basically doubting all the entire sources of information. Like here is HSS issues proposed rule to allow grants regulation of new legislation, non-discrimination laws, and Supreme Court decisions. Um, look, so you're basically just buying in his rhetoric. You're just literally falling
Why on
for
earth would all these lefty journalists write bad things about Trump?
because Trump is a
I
bad
can't
person.
fathom it.
Because Trump, like they're not inventing this stuff. Okay, there's plenty enough stuff to just make anyone hate him. Like literally, he's a terrible person. He's like a monster. He's like a demon that sprang forth from hell and decided to become president. It's like this is nothing but like it's terrible. Like literally, you're just following like the propaganda like they're just ignoring like it's not like right-wing sources are denying any of this. They're like just sort of interpreting it in a different they just basically shift the conversation to like some riots by the lefty person did, and so that nobody actually looks into all this nasty stuff. But nobody is like denying this stuff. Like I don't think Fox News is denying this. They just don't talk about it. Like nobody else
I
is.
deny all of it.
Okay, but then you're just being irrational. Like how like literally you're just basing yourself off of tweets.
Read the travel bans.
What? So what about them? Yeah, he suspended the suspended mission of asylum seekers fleeing the Syrian civil war, suspended missions of all other refugees for 120 days, and denied entry to citizens of Iraq, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen for 20 days. This is a problem. I'm telling you, the Republicans at this point, the Republican Party has become a party of just crazy people. Um, and this is acknowledging that these lefties are also pretty crazy. But the Republican Party, the problem is that they're pretty much unanimously crazy people. Like most sane people vote Democrat, and then you've got also some lefty activists that will also vote Democrat. But sane people vote Democrat. The crazies,
Are
cra-
the travel bans bad?
again, I don't believe in borders. So like yeah, in a more absolute sense, yeah, yeah. Um, again, this is absurd. Like look at all the terrible shit that Trump has done. Like, okay, let's see. Did Trump help the environment? Okay, let's see. Uh, like literally
If
all.
America is at war with Russia, is it reasonable to ban travel to and from Russia?
I hope that doesn't happen. You shouldn't be at war with Russia. So basically, no, because it's not reasonable to be at war with Russia. Um, like literally, I
Big dodge.
no, not Big Dodge. You shouldn't be at war with Russia. And they weren't like eh, I don't believe in that kind. I don't believe in war. Um, like look at this shit. Yeah, most Trump environmental rollbacks will take years to be corrected. Yeah, Trump destroyed
But
the
if we
EPA.
were, that would be a reasonable travel ban, yeah.
I guess, but it would also be reasonable to defect and to basically not to certainly not be at war and to like protest against the war. And Biden moves to reverse Trump environmental policies. Some industries see opportunity to modernize, others prepare to resist. Um, yeah. Okay. This is Wall Street Journal. Biden prepared for an era of stricter regulation Wednesday as President Biden ordered so Wall Street Journal, right-wing newspaper, here we go, ordered a review of dozens of environmental policies. The actions were aimed at reversing former President Donald Trump's deregulatory push in environmental regulation. Okay, so literally, the Wall Street Journal acknowledges this. Okay, the Wall Street Journal acknowledges. Okay,
You're being intellectually dishonest as hell, mate.
Mr. Biden's first day agenda
It's
included
not
revoking a
nice.
permit granted by Mr.
I
Trump to allow
thought you
developers
were
of Keystone.
cool.
What do you mean I'm being intellectually dishonest? No, you're obviously just you're buying into the complete uh, wingnut wingnut Kool-Aid, and I'm sorry to discover this, but like um, that's the way it is. And I understand that I have had just as I've been just as harsh against sort of crazy like socialists and stuff. So again, please understand that
Do
from the
you
perspective
think Trump banned Muslims from entering the country?
he did a travel ban on certain countries that were Muslim. He did that. Um, but like from again, like Keystone's position wants to stand a barrier for heavy industry in opposition to the environmental movement isn't as common in the business world as it once was. Blah, blah. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, but they're not talking about. See, Paris Agreement, re-entry into the Paris Agreement. Trump went out of the Paris Agreement. I mean, he didn't want the Paris Accord, right? Um, so Wall Street Journal is acknowledging this. Okay. The Trump administration worked to ease federal standards and make them hard to raise going forward. Um, okay, the Environmental Protection Agency said earlier this month that the most
I
recent data on fuel
used to
efficiency
be
for the U.S.
just like you,
fleet showed a
man.
decline for the first time in 5 years.
You'll grow out of it.
I will not grow out of it. You have just gone nuts. You have gone into the deep end. Okay, you are completely nuts. I'm sorry to say this. You are completely nuts. Um, yeah, this is crazy. This is absolutely like yeah, tougher regulations. So like the Wall Street Journal is saying the same thing. So if the Wall Street Journal is saying this, okay, then like literally Trump did this. Wall WSJ Trump and environmental regulation. Okay, let's have a look at this. Okay,
Trump did what?
he
Yes, he left the Paris Accord.
yeah, he left the Paris Accord, and
That's a good thing.
it's not a good thing. Why is that a good thing? How is that a good thing? Tell me. Um, Donald Trump signs order rolling back Obama's climate. This is Wall Street Journal
What
again.
is
So
the Paris Accord?
Donald Trump signs order rolling back Obama's climate change rules. It's an accord on. Look, to be honest, I don't know the exact terms of the accord, but it's to collectively agree to like limit emissions, but by a certain amount by a certain date. The point is that it's signaling. It doesn't matter because the point is that the accord didn't have any specific rules, and that's the stupid thing, of course, of the accord, and I agree with that. It doesn't have any proper like policies, so it's actually just meaningless. You're just signing a thing. But the point is that you're showing your will to like reduce emissions. Um, so
So you think it's terrible that he left something that you have no knowledge of?
I know no the point is that it's terrible that he left an accord that signals your intention.
Eat that
it
propaganda, baby boy.
it signals your intention. Okay, President's administration is putting an end to the war
Tastes
on
so
coal.
good.
Okay, Okay, President Donald Trump Tuesday took steps to begin unraveling the centerpiece of the Obama environmental agenda, signing an order to reverse rules aimed at pushing U.S. utilities to shift from coal plants to cleaner burning fuels. Okay, so like literally, the order begins a formal review of President Barack Obama's Clean Power Plan, which would have required utilities to reduce power plant carbon dioxide emissions to 32% below 2005 levels by 2030. Okay, so I like the point is I don't care. I didn't look into detail what exactly the sort of like the exact objectives for the Paris Accords was because I know that these accords are stupid, and I know that in practice it doesn't matter to get out of the Paris Accords. What matters more is all these other things that he did, um, and all these other things. Um,
Wait, do you think you're smarter than Trump?
yeah, yeah. I mean, certainly I'm more wiser than Trump. Trump is an absolute moron. Trump is a complete massive moron. um like he's a monster. He's like evil and he's an idiot. He's terrible in all ways. He's just like he's a subhuman. um he like yeah, this is terrible. He is terrible. um yeah, he chose Scott Pruitt, who's like who destroyed the EPA. um Look, let's look at Paris Accords so we know what it's actually about. I'm not interested in it because I know that it's just these stupid um like because nothing, if you fail to agree, then nothing happens. Like in practice everybody just fails to do it. So yes, limit global warming well to below 2 degrees or preferably 1.5. And so then you say we're going to sort of try to do things. And so how does that work? Implementation of the Paris Agreement requires economic and social transformation, 5-year cycle. Let's see, nationally determined contributions, so long-term strategies. So yeah, you sort of provide each other with these things. The point is that you're showing. See, this is why I don't remember, because it's like this complicated sort of stuff. There's not like a single policy, right? You sort of just sort of have all these
You're a one
things.
viewer Twitch streamer living in your parents' house.
Yeah, yeah. But
You haven't felt the touch of a woman in over a year.
I've never felt the touch of a woman.
And you think
Well,
the
no, it's true. I
extremely
have. I've never
successful
had. I'm an
Trump is a
incel, but it's true.
moron.
Yeah, he is a moron. Look, because women have poor taste, I'm a moron. Like, no, that means that's stupid. Um, Look, Trump is a moron. He is a moron. He's an absolute moron. Um, so yeah, yeah. Um, Look, uh, the point is, I'm not that smart. Okay, like I'm not that smart, but I'm much wiser. I'm rational. More rational than anyone. I'm more rational than Trump. I'm more rational than you, and a lot, in fact, than either of you. Um, like literally, it's mind-boggling that so many people have gone just completely wacko, especially in the United States, just completely
Haha
batshit
man,
crazy.
this is gold.
No, it's gone completely batshit crazy. Okay, completely just psycho. This literally complete psycho. Um, this is complete psycho mindset. And this is unfortunately, I'm discovering that pretty much anyone who votes Republican is actually completely psycho. It's pretty rare to find Republican voters who aren't psycho, because the few Republicans vote ex-Republican voters aren't
LOL.
psycho. They've now started to vote Democrat because they recognize that the Republicans are completely psycho.
I voted
And
for Obama twice BTW.
really, did you? Okay, so you've turned psycho. Like you turned psycho. Okay, all right. Um, Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe there's hope then that you'll become unpsycho. I mean, what can be done potentially can be undone. I
Like
don't know.
I said, I used to be just like you.
Yeah, and now you think you've acquired so much wisdom now that you've suddenly become psycho. Look, I know a person like that who's also turned completely psycho, believes in all sorts of wacko conspiracy theories. Yeah, and they think that they know everything. Yep, I know that.
I
So
used to think Dems were so high class and highly intelligent.
but they aren't that high class and highly intelligent. It's just that compared to the Republicans, they're still they're still ahead. That's it. They're not that like. the problem, like, I don't know, you see that they make a few mistakes and then suddenly like, oh, you get this fake epiphany where like, oh, Republicans actually are right about everything. And no, just because the Democrats weren't as correct about everything as you thought doesn't mean the Republicans are not right about everything. Okay.
A
The,
few mistakes.
well, in comparison to the Republican, yeah, it's like a few. Compared to the Republicans, it's not all that much. It's not all that bad. Um, Compared to like what I would do, it's pretty terrible. Yeah, Democrats are not great, but compared to the Republicans, man, they're looking pretty good.
Russia, Russia, Russia.
What about Russia, Russia, Russia? What are you like now you're evoking these sort of things about like collusion with Russia? Like there's been sort of these sort of vague scandals on both sides about Russia. I don't know what you're. Oh, are you talking about the fact that they complained about Russian collusion and for Trump and stuff? Okay, they maybe exaggerated the sort of idea that the Russians influenced the elections, considering that the United States influenced a bunch of elections all the time over like many decades. Um, so so like I I I just don't I don't see like I don't see the point of like where are you going to find a source that says that Trump didn't do the stuff he did? We saw in Wall Street Journal that he does the stuff that was written on Wikipedia. Wall Street Journal, a right-wing newspaper.
They just slightly exaggerated it for 3 years.
Yeah, but the
That's all, guys.
yeah, except that Trump then
Just a slight
yeah. Oh,
exaggeration.
yeah, and Trump, right? There's massive voter fraud and like the election was stolen and how about that?
Just an article written about it every day for 3 years.
How about Trump's the election was
Slight
stolen?
exaggeration.
And look, there was evidence for slight Russian participation. It's just that they've made a bigger deal out of it than it deserved to be made. But like on the other hand, Trump actually claimed that the election was fucking stolen. So like, who is the wacko there? Like literally, come on, come on. Um, Trump Trump was a bad person. He had bad policies. He made everybody worse off, basically, except for the billionaires. Like, how can you support someone who does that? Someone who destroys the environment, someone who, favors like oppression of gay people, who like literally, hampers the economy with tariffs, who like literally separates children from their families. Like I, I I don't understand how anyone can not just loathe Trump. Trump is a loathsome individual, okay? Okay, yeah, the median income sort of grew even for and the sort of lower households, but it was already growing the sort of similar rate under the later years of Obama. Um, it wasn't thanks to like him in particular. And meanwhile, he gave tax cuts to the rich. He like limited Medicare and Medicaid, so even if people had more income, well, they probably in practice had less income, many of them.
Do you
Um,
think just maybe the leader of America might have more intel than you?
no, everybody agrees. Everybody that's sensible agrees that Trump is a massive idiot. Okay, Trump is a massive idiot, and you are too. I'm sorry to say. I'm sorry to to be made to discover that there's one more idiot in the world and that no, this is terrible. This is terrible. I don't like there being idiots. I don't like being wiser than all these people. I wish everybody had wisdom, but they don't. They don't. Everybody that they all fall either into this crazy socialist idea. We have to get rid of capitalism, and we have to, they say this crazy stuff about like, y-
Why do
I don't know,
you
the
think
systemic
he
racism crap.
separated families?
Because he's an
Because he's
asshole.
so racist and hates Mexicans.
Basically, yeah, I think that.
That's why.
Yeah, I think he basically that's why. Um, yeah. Look, there's no good reason for that. For a child,
Yikes.
yeah, for a child, it's traumatic to be separated from the family. Okay, doesn't matter if you had some sort of good reason for it. Okay, like he did it. He did it. It was wrong. Okay, he did it. It was fucking wrong. Um, that's the end of story. There's no good justification for this. Okay.
How do you know if they were actually families?
Oh, so now you're gonna bring up, oh, this the little kids might not be family. Look, we can't know for sure, but, like, there's, like, pretty strong indication when you see the kid completely crying when they're getting separated from the person's family, like, it sort of seems pretty obvious and, like, I think we know that these are family. Okay, kids,
That's the whole point.
children. Okay, so now you're
You understand that, right?
look, I'm sick of you. I'm sick of you. You you're an asshole. Goodbye. I'm gonna unban you, but for now you're banned.